Welcome to Lawyers Without Billboards, where we break down family law and other areas of the law. No gimmicks, no legal jargon, just real, unfiltered talk from real lawyers. Join your hosts, Steve, Patty, Jimmy, and Alexa, partners at Shewmaker and Lewis, a law firm based in Atlanta, Georgia. Every episode, they tackle the legal questions that matter most: divorce, custody, child support, alimony, and everything in between. They'll pull back the curtain to give you real insights on what happens inside the courtroom and beyond.
Happy Saturday. Shewmaker and Lewis brings you Lawyers Without Billboards. We're here on a beautiful Saturday in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. And like I always say, we are professional talkers. Do not attempt this at home. We're on a closed course. Very dangerous to do what we do at home.
You just always say that today.
Always.
It's the first time we've ever reported where you said that.
Always. And you'll notice that I have Alexa Lewis and Jimmy Lewis, my two law partners. They are the Lewises of Shewmaker Lewis. And my wife, Patty, has stepped out. I think she's fixing me a sandwich. Anyway.
Oh, my God. She's going to
We have a number of threads or different themes on our podcast, and today marks the beginning of a new one. Our loyal listeners know that we've talked about judges many times. We've had many great judges on our podcast, like Judge Tangela Berry from DeKalb County and Judge Childs from Cobb County, and many more to come. We're even having the crazy Judge Alexander Manning from Fulton County later today. But today marks a new adventure. We are bringing on elected officials who are not judges. And we have with us, we are greatly honored to say that we, as our first inaugural elected official who's not a judge, we have Lisa Marie Bristol, the solicitor, or is it proper to say Solicitor General?
Solicitor General.
Solicitor General, which means when you refer to her in third person and first person, you refer to her as General. And this is Lisa Marie Bristol, the Solicitor General of Gwinnett County. And let me be clear, Gwinnett County and Fulton County vie for the largest county by population in Georgia. I think Fulton edges out Gwinnett every once in a while, but they're both about 1 million people. And Gwinnett is also the largest county by land mass in the entire state, which is fitting because it's named for Button Gwinnett, one of the signers of the Constitution. Declaration of Independence, excuse me. And when you see pictures of the framers, as they refer to him, he is the fattest, biggest dude in the picture. He was a large guy.
But at that time, that meant wealth.
Right.
Well, he was wealthy and he was large, so it's only fitting that he would be honored with the name of the largest Georgia county. We're in Gwinnett County right now. It's one of Atlanta's metro counties. Even though attorneys like Margaret Washburn like to talk about they're not Atlanta attorneys. Yes, you are, Margaret. In any event, we now, without further ado...
We are also Gwinnett attorneys because our office is located in Gwinnett.
Yes, it is.
There we go.
And without further ado, we have the great Lisa Marie Bristol. Now, do you prefer to be called General or Lisa? What do you want to call you?
Lisa Marie.
Lisa Marie. Lisa Marie.
Thank you.
Remind me, you followed Rosanna Szabo?
No, actually, I followed Brian Whiteside.
Brian Whiteside, who followed Rosanna Szabo.
Correct.
Who I know Rosanna because I think I surprised you the other night at the Gwinnett County Bar Party when I told you that I worked in your office in the year of our Lord 2004 and 5 as a law school intern.
I was in high school.
Yes, and I was later offered a job there by Greg Witowski.
Okay.
And, of course, he was the deputy working for Rosanna Szabo. But I went another direction, and I can't say I regret it because I like Jeff and I like Rosanna very much. Rosanna's now a North Georgia prosecutor.
She's in Raven County now.
Yeah, way up on the
That's up there.
And I forget where Jeff Witowski is now. He's still prosecuting someplace, maybe with the AG or someplace. But anyway, this is a podcast about you. So, how many years ago did you take over?
So I took office January of 2023, excuse me. And ironically, it was a full circle moment because my first job was also for Rosanna in that office as a PAC intern in 2008.
So just a few years after I was there.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was my first legal job. I was a 2L at Georgia State.
Yeah.
I got hired on as a PAC intern and I was placed in the Gwinnett Solicitor's office. Mm-hmm. So when I came back as the elected.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Come to think of it, I was a PAC intern as well, but that doesn't matter. I interned there. I have been eternally grateful for that office because I did my first criminal jury trial as a PAC intern. I had Sharon Dixon. Actually, do you remember Sharon? Do you know Sharon? I do. Yeah, Sharon. I think last time I saw Sharon, she was a magistrate. I think up in Fulton, North Fulton or someplace.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The funny story is this guy had a speeding ticket. He wanted a jury trial, and I walk in to watch Sharon handle the trial, and she just has this file. She just throws it down on the table in the courtroom. And she's like, oh. And she looks at me and she goes, "You do this trial."
Sounds about right.
And didn't even stay in the courtroom the whole time. I won't say that. As I waited for the jury to come back with a verdict, I thought to myself,
Self?
Yes, I said self. This guy represented himself, pro se. I could very well lose. And I got kind of nervous, but they came back and they found him guilty. But that was my first criminal trial. And I did many things for her office, and I worked a lot with Rosanna, and I am grateful to her even today. But this is a podcast about you. You inherited or taken over a great office. Why?
Well, it's funny because I never, ever thought I would run for office. Did not intend to run for office. And I got a phone call one day. And somebody said, "Hey, you live in Gwinnett. You have a lot of experience. Love for you to consider running for this office." And I immediately said, "No, thank you."
Thanks, but no thanks.
I'm going to respectfully decline that request. But they persisted. And it was somebody I have a great deal of respect for. And who had known me since I was a public defender and saw me as a prosecutor. And so what I did was I was like, I will ask my husband, who is a severe introvert. I know for sure he's going to say no. It's going to be great. And I'll
my way out.
Yes, he is my out. Pray about it.
I really want to do it, but my husband said no.
Dang.
He can be the bad guy.
I have no support here.
No, can't do it. 3 kids, husband said no, can't do it.
Sorry.
And I went to him and I said, this is the call I got. What do you think? And he immediately and enthusiastically said, "I think that's a great idea." And I was like, "Maybe you didn't hear me. Let's try this again."
I want to step out about
I feel like we're having a misunderstanding. Maybe we just start over.
Right. But yeah, we went on the journey. It was amazing. I had my 3 kids out canvassing with me in my T-shirts. My daughter was telling all of her teachers at the elementary school she was in at the time. And it was a ride for my family and I. But took the plunge, ran for office, was successful, very grateful, and been loving the work ever since.
I think that's great because that is a mark of a really courageous soul. There are a lot of people in Georgia that just sit back and wait to be appointed. And I've told a few of them who are waiting to be appointed, run. Show me some courage. Just go run. So you did it. That's cool.
I love that you didn't want to.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Well,
You're like, okay.
a lot of the greatest people in history didn't want the job, but the circumstances led them there. How many years had your predecessor been in the job?
It was his first term.
So 3 or 4 years, right?
Yes, 3 years when I challenged him. So challenging an incumbent is tough.
Yeah.
It is very, very tough. Same party challenge as well. So it was very, some people were very much like, how dare you? How dare you do this? And I thought, well, I have been a public defender, as we talked about.
Yep.
I started off as a public defender. I spent 4 years defending indigent people charged with all kinds of crimes from traffic to murder. I purposely switched to prosecution, and I prosecuted all kinds of cases. Again, traffic to murder.
Now you were can I say where you were a public defender?
Sure.
You were in Newton and Walton.
Yes, I was primarily in the Walton office.
A very conservative district.
Very much so.
And then if I recall correctly, you went to be a prosecutor in DeKalb?
I did.
Okay, which is a much more liberal district.
Yes.
The almost polar opposite. Not only politically and demographically in a lot of ways, but in terms of just efficiency and expediency, as Robert James was famous for saying, we have an armed robbery every day and a murder almost every week in DeKalb. So they don't have time for, I'm not going to say foolishness, but they don't have time for kind of the outlook that a more rural county like Walton has.
Correct.
Right.
It was a very different pace. My 3 years in Walton County were, I could schedule doctor's appointments to my judge's calendar, and I had my calendar for the whole year. I knew my judges. I knew what to expect. I tried cases in front of all 5 sitting judges at the time, but it was a very different pace. I left that office, went to City of Atlanta for a quick stint, but we don't talk about that. And then I ended up in DeKalb County as a prosecutor, and it was interesting because at the time, I had 3 kids under the age of 6. 2007. My daughter had just turned 1.
Wow.
And I was tired. I was like, I need a break from the courtroom. And I was promised a 6-month in-office position, just drafting. And 2 months later, I ended up in one of the busiest courtrooms. So,
Which judge was that?
I was with Judge Panos, Judge Donnie Panos.
Oh, so you were state court.
I was in state court.
Gotcha.
And it was great. It was great. Best 4 years. I had a great time. Again, got a phone call. And somebody said, hey, I know you love your life right now, but we have an opening in the Gwinnett DA's office. And I was like, thanks. No, thank you.
Oh, you turned it down?
I did.
Wow.
I did. I tend to say no very easily with that. Again,
That would have been my dream job coming out of law school, to have worked for
Danny Porter.
Dan Porter, yeah.
He was a hoot. I thought for sure there's no way. I'm like, I don't know that I want to do felonies. My kids are still pretty young. And they were like, no, it's a great office. Danny runs a great office. He has, there's balance. You're going to leave on time. And I said, okay, well, I'll come in to interview. And just like you said, a lot of people really wanted to get into that office.
Most respected DA in the state.
Yeah, and been there for years. Most people spent months interviewing, trying to get in. I went in, I had my interview, and 3 hours later, I got an offer.
Wow.
3 hours. We better get this lady.
Dang.
Yeah.
It was an interesting day because I got the call and I was like, I haven't even debriefed the interview yet with my husband. I will let you know. But it was great. It was the best decision I could have made. I learned so much working in that office.
How long were you there?
3 years.
Okay.
I was there for 3 years, and then I left when I decided to run for office. I went to the district attorney's office in DeKalb. I worked for Sherry Boston.
So you went from public defender Walton to solicitor DeKalb
Yes.
to DA Gwinnett, DA DeKalb.
Yes.
How many years was all of that total?
Total, I think practicing about 13 at the time when I took office. I came out in 2009.
So there's just no question when you run for solicitor of Gwinnett County that you are just incredibly qualified. But let's go back to that because it's difficult. And if you don't want to talk about it, I understand. But when you run against an incumbent, I think common sense would say you can't just be talking to the local bar and the other judges and go, it's my time. No. When you run against an incumbent, you have to kind of say, there's an issue and I'm the one to solve it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you comfortable talking about that?
I am. It was a very difficult campaign because of that. Because especially, even now, we're just now starting to see a shift where people will challenge an incumbent. It's very taboo.
Well, you have to have a reason.
You have to have a reason.
Did you have a crew of people, smart people, that sat down with you privately and said, let's craft the message?
I kind of had a piecemeal team. I did have an amazing support system, but it wasn't always consistent throughout the entire campaign. Because the life of the campaign was in public was about 18 months.
Wow.
But my reason was, though my opponent was a nice person, the office was not being run efficiently. Right. I inherited a mass of a backlog. And the problem is, what I did learn as a public defender is pending misdemeanors derail people's lives.
Sure.
And nobody thinks about it because, nobody makes SVU episodes about misdemeanors.
Sure.
Nobody makes movies about misdemeanors. It's not sexy. It doesn't sell. But when I was a public defender, I realized, hey, this pending misdemeanor means my client can't enter the military, can't get student loans.
It's funny you say that because I right now have a client who is at a service academy. I'm not going to say which one. And he got a citation for being intoxicated at the airport, which is not a big deal. It's not a murder. It's not a rape. It's not a sex crime. But to him and his family and the service academy, it's a problem. It's enough of a problem to put down what I'm doing and drive to this particular county solicitor's office and sit down there and wait out front and not be successful. And to do it again tomorrow, Monday. Right. Because it's a big deal to them.
It is.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
Nobody knew. I didn't know when I was a public defender. I started off in Henry and Clayton County. And then you get there and you realize, oh, here's a collateral damage and it's just pending.
Right.
And so it is a big deal. I want to make sure that people who are touched by my office are handled efficiently.
Right.
And if it shouldn't be lingering, get rid of it. If it needs to go into a program, let's do that. But that was one of the big reasons why I did take the plunge and did run, because that was something that was very important to me. Raising my husband and I, raising our family in this community. And so it was important to me that we were contributing to a community that I want to stay in, that I want to raise my children in, because we chose Gwinnett. Gwinnett's not my native home.
What is?
As many people can probably hear. I'm actually Canadian, born and raised.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Oui, c'est ça.
Jimmy used to have a girlfriend in
I
Canada.
haven't gotten an A yet, so I didn't.
I dropped that. I had to drop it.
I was gonna say you weren't like super obvious
We
about that.
haven't asked her what anything was about.
Right, good point.
I've tried to say about.
You did.
That was
great.
good.
You handled it. It was great.
I think the word house usually gives me away.
Well, your English is
I
really
didn't
good.
hear it.
You know,
Do you
amazingly, oui, je parle français aussi. I am bilingual.
you speak? Wow. What we're learning about Lisa Marie Bristol, the
on the
general.
spot, number one.
You speak French, so you're from Eastern Canada.
I am
Quebec.
from Ontario. No,
Oh,
from
okay.
Quebec. I'm from Ontario, but I went to French school. So
So
I
you
went
speak. You like the all words.
Yes.
You know, the four of us were just in Paris, and between the four of us, we speak like 8 French words. That's it.
Oui, merci.
Merci.
Ménage à trois.
Je m'appelle.
Mon Dieu.
All right. No, we'll talk about our recent trip to Paris later. But,
Well,
but
we were in Normandy. We were in the Normandy region. We were
we were also in Paris.
well, you guys were.
But more to the point, let's go back to your office. So you inherit a backlogged office.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. The word on the street was that Rosanna, who'd been a longtime member of that office, and I think she'd done 2 or 3 terms
three.
3 terms, that she was caught up in a wave of more liberal politics wave that ousted her without it really even being a local issue race. I think that's how some people would phrase it, and was replaced by your predecessor. I don't know. I can't speak to the backlog and how all that happened, but you took over the backlog. But your solicitor's office, so you're primarily domestic violence and DUIs.
DUIs, domestic violence, theft cases, nuisance cases, public nuisance, really, criminal trespass, disorderly conduct.
Yeah.
And we have all of the traffic court. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And, to be fair, my predecessor was there during COVID, but I was in the DA's office at the same time upstairs. And yes, COVID absolutely impacted all criminal practice, all courtrooms around the state. But it just stopped. It just stopped.
You mean in Gwinnett?
In the state court at the time. And so the backlog I inherited, some of it was preventable, a lot of it was, and it just wasn't. In fact, we thought we were walking into a backlog of about 3,500 cases. In my first month in office, we discovered an additional 6,000.
Whoa.
So that would be almost 10,000 cases.
Yes.
Well, let's stop right there. I want to explore this with you. I've heard prosecutor, I've heard public defender, I've heard misdemeanor prosecutor, felony prosecutor. So at most, I'm assuming this, you tell me if I'm right, Lisa Marie, at most I'm hearing you and maybe an associate attorney, a younger attorney, or you and an investigator. I'm hearing very little management leadership experience, because the nature of what prosecutors and public defenders do is small teams at most.
Right.
Now I'm hearing about a woman who has how many prosecutors when you walk in the door?
I have a team overall of about 105 right now over 3 campuses.
Total bodies, 105.
Total bodies, yes. I have 22 line prosecutors plus my leadership team. So in total, we have about just under 30 prosecutors.
Okay. So if I were to talk about Army or Marine Corps terms, you've inherited something the size of a company.
Yes.
But when we look at that in military terms, most of those people in that company are going to be low skill. Though when the majority of people are high skill, it becomes a higher level leader requirement. So you're basically inheriting or taking over the reins of something that the military would put in the hands of like a colonel or a general. Okay. And you're taking that over.
She is a general.
Well, we have
this.
established that. But you're taking that over with, no offense to you, with very little or no experience of leadership at that level before. Is that accurate? I don't want to insult you.
No, not at all.
How did you cope with, because you're obviously successful, how did you cope with such a sea change in your life?
It was a huge change. I'd been managing my family, my household, which is very different. I can look at my children and give them a look, and they fall in line for the most part. And And there are things that I can say to my family I can't say without HR calling in my office. But it was an interesting transition. But what I will say is I have amazing mentors. So for the first several months, I called other electeds. Yeah, I will not lie. The first few months, it was, hello, hi, you lying liar who I hate. You obviously don't love me because if you did, you would have said, don't do this. This is crazy. No, but
You talking about your husband?
No, other electeds.
Okay.
You could have warned me, but the learning curve is not the law, not the practice of law, not how to move the case, not how to structure the office. It's how to manage the people.
The people. There you go.
And how to meet people where they are. And you have to understand everyone learns differently. Everyone accepts praise differently. Everyone accepts criticism differently. And you have to figure out the way to be the most effective communicator.
And it changes person to person.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, then you have high turnover.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard.
How has that been?
My office is very stable. I'm very grateful for that. We have, I think, right now 2 or 3 attorney openings, but all the other positions are full.
I'll call you later about that. Okay.
And I went to coaching. I got an executive coach, leadership coach.
That's brilliant to hear you say, it's my way or the highway. I know what I'm doing. You actually got in this situation and went, I'm imagining you went, wow, this is different than anything I've ever done. I need to get some help.
Yes. And very not ashamed. Got some executive coaching, got some recommendations.
Wow.
And worked with Turkett Leadership and found an amazing coach, Ann Quiello. And we worked on some things. There were things that I had to learn how to do. Conflict avoidance was a problem for me. I just wanted things to be peaceful. And sometimes you have to have hard conversations. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I worked at it. And I had people who supported me as I worked through it.
I'm so excited to hear you say that because, I had a picture in my mind that we'd sit down here, and we'll probably get to some of this about, well, this is my agenda and this is how I'm handling these kind of crimes. But what I'm getting first and foremost about you, Lisa Marie, is I took over something that was bigger than me, bigger than anything I'd ever done, and I had to deal with that first. And that's impressive. Thank you. Really impressive.
Yeah, the self-reflection is huge. That's awesome.
It does help. And not being afraid to say when you're wrong.
Oh, for sure.
Pivot, right? That was a big thing. I had a vision for what I thought I was inheriting, for what I thought I was going to be able to do, for how I thought other people would come together. And some of it was accurate, some of it was not. And so at some point you have to step back and think, okay, well, what do I have control over? What do I have autonomy to do? What's in my power? And what are my focuses? What are my priorities? So a lot of pivoting, a lot of just like trial and error. I really enjoy working with Judge Christina Bloom, our chief magistrate, because
I had my wife and I had our first divorce jury trial in front of Magistrate Christina Bloom. And that's been like 15, 16 years ago. And I remember it like yesterday. Neat lady.
Yes.
Chief magistrate?
Chief magistrate.
We had her for a Taco Tuesday one time.
We did.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
She is so much fun. She's a great ally.
A lot of energy there too.
Yeah.
So I could go to her and be like, hey, I want to try this. And her thing is, I'll try anything once, probably even twice. If I'm feeling frisky, maybe 3 times. And then
Jimmy has the same motto, but it's a different context. I'll tell you what. Hey, real quick, are you, we talked the other night and I can't remember, are you friends with Keith Gamage?
I am.
Okay.
He can keep the #1 spot. I have the 2nd largest office in the state. Keith has the 1st.
And he's been in it a long time.
He is. I think he's year 16.
Was he a good sounding board for you?
He was. Okay. He was. And ironically enough, I've actually known Keith for much longer. He was my first counterpart when I graduated and started practicing when I was doing public defense work in Clayton. He was my counterpart in the Clayton Solicitors.
I like Keith Gamage. And I think I told you some Keith Gamage, Steve Shewmaker stories when we were at the party the other night. But I will tell you that he's just a really neat guy.
Yes.
And I actually, one very short Keith story, I sent him a birthday card one year with a scratch-off lotto ticket in it. And he sent a letter to me back with the lotto ticket unscratched and says, he says, Steve, I love you, but as an elected official, if I scratch this and win, that's a big problem. So the next year, I pulled out a scratch-off lotto ticket and scratched it off, and it was a loser. And I sent it to him with a birthday card, and I said, hey, Keith, I scratched it off for you. You didn't win nothing, but happy birthday.
He is actually one of the electeds that I would call during my first few months. And I realized he started calling me regularly, and I realized it seemed to be in a pattern. Turned out he'd put me on his calendar as a recurring event to check in.
Because he knew whether you said it or not, you've got to be having some growing pains there. Well, let's switch and talk about crime, if I may.
Of course.
Marijuana possession. You knew I was going to ask you about that, right?
That's fine.
Yeah, just talk to me about that, because there have been various DAs and solicitors throughout the state that have said, we're not prosecuting this, and then you get some conservative people at the legislature saying, well, you are required to. What's the status of that?
So here's the thing. Marijuana is illegal in the state of Georgia.
Possession of that to Jimmy?
Look, I will have not done anything like that in this state.
There you go.
In a
This would
very
be a
long
good
time.
time my public defender self would say, shh.
Yeah, don't talk to me. So it's illegal, you were
It's
saying?
illegal in the state of
I'm in
Georgia.
Colorado.
Yeah,
But
go to Colorado.
GBI, because of whatever the situation is, whether it's resources, ability, capacity, what have you, GBI does not do crime lab on misdemeanor marijuana cases. In order for me to prove my case beyond a reasonable doubt, I need crime lab.
Right.
And I know there are some counties who have contracted with private labs to do testing, but they're smaller counties and they have the capability.
You don't have that capability.
not.
And then if you follow the news with Phony Willis, Phony's like, look, rather than spend all this money doing this, why don't you fund the GBI, which I think came out last week. Yeah.
GBI, I know they do great work. They do a lot of work, and the entire state's pulling on them. So if what they're saying is we're prioritizing our resources and we are not doing this, I don't have the capability to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right, if money's short and I'm GBI, I'm what, Vic Reynolds over at GBI? Well, he was a GBI.
Was.
Yeah, he's not there anymore.
No, he's
if I'm
judge.
GBI, I'm prosecuting rape kits, not an ounce of marijuana.
Yeah.
Because that only makes sense.
And I am not over GBI. I can't tell them how to allocate their resources. I can only work with what I'm given. So my burden as a prosecutor is beyond a reasonable doubt. I need crime lab to do that.
Right. And it smelled like marijuana might not be enough.
Probably not.
Yeah. Okay. So, in other words, what you're telling, if I don't want to speak for you, what you're telling me is you're still prosecuting these cases to the extent you can, but there's probably going to be more leeway in those cases than there was before.
Yes.
What about DUI?
DUI is a problem in this state.
Well, we got Uber. We got Lyft.
Well,
You'd think.
Exactly. And it's really interesting to me because what I realized over the years is, and I'm not advocating for this, you can, have a really bad day, lose your mind, and go home and, stab but not kill your partner, right? Aggravated assault.
Don't do it.
With a nail file.
Don't
Let's do
do
it.
It technically could, but
You could, right?
don't maybe.
If you have no history, you can enter a first offender plea, and in 3 years, without any other problems, you have a clean record, right? So you could go home and hit a roadblock and have had too much to drink, and that DUI will stay in your history forever.
Forever.
So it's a very interesting situation that we have from the legislature. But the problem is DUI is something that impacts the entire community. So we do take those seriously.
The way I explain it to clients, and I'm curious what your perspective on this is, people call me all the time about DUI, and I'm like, look, I've actually seen, putting bullets in people's bodies and get first offender. I've seen it, and no jail time. Okay. And I've had to look at people and say, yeah, this DUI will be on your record forever. But wait a minute, I had first offender on, an ag assault. And how does that make sense? I said, it's simple. Go back to 1970, 1980. People were driving drunk, no repercussions. People started dying. Mothers Against Drivers was a real thing. They were really pissed.
Yep.
They had a really good argument, a powerful lobby. And now this is the status of the law. And until it changes, if it changes, that's what it is.
And they've made it really easy. You mentioned Uber, you mentioned Lyft. We have a lot of great options. So I just really recommend to people, hey, just call an Uber, leave your car somewhere safe, or take the Uber there and back. And in fact, most places that you go to now, when you go to an event, they have two different options.
Oh, yeah.
They have, okay, if you're going to bring your car and park, here's where you go, and herere's the ride share option. So just...
It's so much less expensive, too, than paying for the attorney for the DUI after the fact.
And another thing I tell my client is, I don't know, some DUI attorneys will disagree with me, but I'm like, 9 times out of 10, if you're arrested for DUI, hopefully we can get you to a reckless. Hopefully, that's usually the gold standard. And then I often do. And then I look at them and say, that was your one silver bullet. You have a DUI arrest. which is disposed of as reckless. You will not get any grace from any cop anywhere in the country that stops you. They're going to scrutinize you,
Yes.
and that's the world you live in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to accomplish in my office was expanding our DUI court. So DUI court is an accountability court program.
Yeah.
It's for people who did not figure out that lesson the first time. So second and third DUIs before it becomes a felony, fourth and 10. We have a program. We went to 2 courtrooms now. And if there's somebody who doesn't seem to pick up on that lesson the first time and they may need extra help, we can recommend them go into that program. It has a great success rate if they finish it.
And you started that program?
I didn't start the program. It was there when I got to the office, but we were able to expand it and to double the size.
With those 9,500 cases you had, that you didn't know about 6,000 of them, right? That was your predecessor. That wasn't you.
That's so crazy.
Well, let me switch gears about domestic violence, because I know it's one of your big 3.
Yes.
Your big 3 would be domestic violence, DUI, and everything else.
Yes.
Right? DV cases are always tricky, right?
Very.
Because you get that circle of violence.
Correct.
I called the cops. He did it. We've made up.
I can't, never happened.
We want to stay married. Dismiss the case. How do you handle that?
So DV, domestic violence, is a tough one, right? I think misdemeanor domestic violence cases are preventable homicides. A lot of times when you have a homicide, a DV homicide, you can trace it back to that first or second misdemeanor DV that wasn't handled, that was dismissed for one prosecution, whatever the case may be. One of the things I did was I started a special victims unit in my office. I have a team that does extra training and really focuses and hones in on those high risk domestic violence cases, among other things. And we are a victim-centered office. I understand the cycle of violence. Some of the hardest cases I've tried have been domestic violence, whether it's at the felony level or the misdemeanor level, because as you said, there's a cycle. There's a power and control dynamic that we're never going to fully understand. There is the fact that they're going to recant. A lot of times the victim will recant and go back to the abuser. And also there's the fact that at the time when it's usually, they say it takes a victim 7 attempts to finally leave.
Wow.
And they go back 7 times. And that's hoping that they get out that time. And it's hard. That time when they are separated from the abuser can be their most vulnerable time, their most dangerous time. So those are things that I'm really dedicated to raising awareness about, because it starts really young. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. February. And we go out to different high schools and we table and we talk to the kids about, healthy dating habits, healthy behavior, because the grooming starts that young.
Yeah.
And it starts as young as share your location with me, get your phone password, constantly checking it. And we're seeing it as young as middle school. Now, as a mother of 3 teenagers, that's terrifying.
Wow. Middle school.
Middle school.
Same.
So tell me this. Do you have any opposition for?
I do.
Okay. Let's talk about this. I'll be blunt. I was watching one of these national political shows, I think last Sunday, and a couple of pundits were talking, and this was about national politicians, but I think it rings true. They were saying voters want to hear what somebody's gonna do, not what they have done, which sucks for the incumbent, because the best answer for the incumbent is look what I have done. And if the incumbent is talking about this is what I'm gonna do, then the natural reaction is, well, why haven't you done it?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not pointing a finger at you at all, but with that as the kind of the standard that experts who study this stuff talk about, you are running, and you certainly want to talk about what you have done. And anyone who runs against you is going to talk about, well, she hasn't done it right. This is what I'm going to do. So tell us, what are you trying to tell the voters?
Well, for one thing, I would go back to my first campaign.
Mm-hmm.
We accomplished everything that I set out to accomplish. I said I wanted to campaign on having a victim-centered office and streamlining our approach. We've done that. I wanted to expand our diversion programs and build it up. We're doing that. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ensure that we were making sure that those who are eligible for diversion can get into diversion so we can keep them on track and break down the cycle of recidivism. We've accomplished all of the things that I set out to do. So now what am I going to do this next term? I'm going to keep building on that. We have developed partnerships with various community organizations. One of my signature event, which is interesting, but it's been a lot of fun. We do a 5K every October, and it's called the Dash for Domestic Violence Awareness 5K. We do it in Lawrenceville at Alexander Park, and every dollar that we raise goes to 3 different organizations.
What month is that 5K?
October.
You said
Saturday in October.
I'm sorry I missed it. I'm going to be there next year.
Please do.
I'm gonna be
And so we collect sponsors.
I'm going to win it and set a world record.
Real.
A world record.
I got it, yeah.
Competitive nature.
Oh boy.
We just had our check presentation this week, actually.
How much?
We raised almost $13,000.
Nice.
Great. That is great news.
So we were able to give money to Mosaic, Georgia, Partnership Against Domestic Violence, and a HIPS house.
So the message you would send to the voters is, I inherited an office that could have been better, and I've made it better. And what I'm talking about in the future is not necessarily stuff I could have done right away, and now I'm building on what I've done to do this. Okay. See, I could be your spokesperson.
Oh, boy.
I could do that.
So I might have to.
You already have a job.
Yeah, but I'm not very good at it, right? All right, let's switch gears. How old are your kids? You didn't tell us that.
I have an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and the boss is almost 13.
16-year-old boy or girl?
2 boys and the boss.
Oh, I'll tell you, we have a 16-year-old girl. So right now you're at the stage where you get, How was your day?
Well, the girl child, who I realize is my karma. She is me, and I am she. And she is hilarious, and she still thinks I'm pretty cool. She likes to hang out with me.
She's 13.
Good for you.
She's almost 13.
I hope it lasts.
Yes.
Gosh, I hope it does for you.
The 18-year-old grunts, and I get, 1-syllable answers. He just finished his first semester in college.
Where at?
He only comes, that I don't usually talk about.
Okay.
Fair.
Sorry.
Not a problem at all. But he comes home only if the dining hall is closed. So that's lovely.
How about that?
Really appreciated. Firstborn, thank you. I made you from scratch.
I like that. I made you from scratch. I'm going to encourage my wife to use that.
Switch.
Switch gears real quick. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, that's a good one. See, it depends on my mood.
That's okay.
Movies I can watch over and over and over again.
Which are?
I love Ever After.
Okay, yes.
No, it's a weird one, but I
like it though. It's a good movie.
Right? The Color Purple.
The original or the new remake?
The original.
Original. I'm with you, Rhea. I'm with you there, yeah.
I love Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yes.
Have you read the book?
On TV.
Not read the book.
Oh, my goodness.
I love Shawshank Redemption. I don't actually watch much TV anymore, though. I have a Kindle that is fully loaded at all times.
Same.
And
Jimmy's got a Glock that's fully loaded at all times.
We'll talk off air on the book.
Shawshank Redemption, you can't go wrong with that.
No.
Yeah.
And of course, the classics, My Cousin Vinny.
Did you hear our episode where we talked about My Cousin?
It was a two-parter.
We recorded
It was a two-parter.
two-parter. Yes, My Cousin Vinny is, I think, the first movie we reviewed.
It's my favorite movie.
Yes.
It has to be.
It's my absolute
As a trial attorney, you must, and I'm an adjunct at Georgia State Law. I teach a 2L class,
What do you teach?
lawyering advocacy. We used to call it litigation.
Yeah, litigation. I remember that.
I wish you'd bring me down and speak. I would love I would be there. I would
Yeah.
be there. And
I always bring one civil litigator
Yeah.
every semester.
I'll be there.
It can't always be Steve. I want to come sometime.
Yeah, Alexa can.
Because I went there too.
Yeah.
Great, go Panthers.
Ask Alexa to do her invitation for My Cousin Vinny.
After. After.
Well, I referenced My Cousin Vinny, and a couple years ago, and the students just kind of looked at me. I was like, no.
You're like, stop.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
It's like, how do you not know this? So last year, I switched it up. I still had My Cousin Vinny, but there was one class where we were talking about, the bad guy. And they were like, well, can we just make it up? I'm like, no, you can't. You have to have a good nexus. You can't just be like, it was Kaiser Sose. And they all just looked at me. And I was like, seriously? Kaiser Sose?
That's when you know you're old.
That's because they're a bunch of Utes.
Believe me.
Bunch of Utes.
The
Utes don't know what's
Lisa Marie, there was a day and time when I looked at Alexa and made Star Wars references, and she looked at me and I was like, you've never seen the original Star Wars? I had to rent a movie theater out and put 100 people in the theater to get her to watch Star Wars. All right.
You chose.
All right. So bottom line is this. When are you going to call us about a Lisa Marie Bristol event here?
Oh, let's do that in the new year.
Okay, we're going to do that in the new year.
It's going to be great.
Anything else you want to say before we conclude this inaugural episode, which I'm very satisfied with? Anything else you want to say?
I want to say, a big part of what my team does and what I'm advocating for is that we are an integrated part of our community.
Absolutely.
So we're not just here to prosecute. We are here to educate. We engage our community. We let them know the resources available to them. because a lot of crime prevention is education. And if we can get them early, then we can hopefully set them straight. So my goal is to continue to do that work, continue to build on those partnerships. And I appreciate so much being invited as your first prosecutor.
This was, and we're going to have many more to follow. Maybe we'll get the great Keith Cambridge on here. I would like that. But it's been an honor to have you on here. I'm going to tell you right now, I wish I could vote for you, but I live across the line in DeKalb. But I know that Alexa and Jimmy are right there, and it has been such a great honor. Shewmaker and Lewis, Lawyers Without, is that who we are? Lawyers Without Billboards. Goodbye, everybody.
That's it for this episode of Lawyers Without Billboards. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to follow and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more resources or to get in touch with us, visit shewmakerandlewis.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.